Ever diagnosed with any type of like mental illness or any type of diagnosis, any type of learning disability, anything like that?
I have a crazy problem.
What I'm on here for about is Queen Sheba.
Play that louder now. We don't get to hear that often. Say it louder. I think you are very open-minded about a lot. I think you haven't had an opportunity to experience a conservative relationship. Hold on. And if and when you do, come back and talk to me. Yeah.
What you don't realize is that you don't listen, man.
I don't have to. You're not my daddy.
I will pray for you, but if you get on my nerve, I will cuss you smooth out. My mouth ain't under control yet, and I can throw these hands. And let me tell you something, if I get my hands on you, I promise you, you gonna know you've been in a fight. But I'm trying not to go there because I'm in transition.
Listen, that is my theme song. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday. If this is your first time here, we appreciate all of you pulling up. Baby, we finna get down to the nitty gritty, okay? We are about to get down to the nitty gritty. And if you the type that like to get in your feelings, nothing but them feelings, this may not be the channel for you, because I am going to keep it all the way real, all the way live. And I'm going to tell y'all, listen, I ain't got no dog in this damn fight. I flew all the way to New York from Texas. I ain't got no dog in this fight. I ain't got no reason to lie, but I know one thing. The $1 Million Man on his damn thumbnail, I would have had a talk with him if I was Diddy. I would have fought Marc Agnifilo this morning. Oh, we would have threw hands this morning if it was my attorney. We would have threw hands. Mark, and I'm going to stand on business, and I'm going to say what the hell I said earlier, and I'm going to say it again. Mark acted a damn fool this morning in that courthouse. Mark acted a damn fool this morning in that courthouse. I was looking at him like, nigga, is you drunk? Is you drunk? I think Mark went out and did some shots. I think he got ahead of himself last night. I think he stayed a little bit too long at happy hour because, bro, you was all over the place. Did he make us laugh? Hell yeah, he made us laugh. So some of you are saying, but they said he made folks laugh and did. Have you ever laughed at a drunk man? Have you ever laughed at somebody that acted a fool? That don't mean they did a good job with the defense. He was extremely entertaining. He was cringe-worthy, baby. He was every bit of that. We laugh here. Well, the jury was engaged. Ant was. Wouldn't you? Listen, when I tell you, look, I was like, what the fuck is Mark doing? You know what Mark reminded me of the first half? You know what he reminded me of the first half of his closing argument? Have y'all seen the movie Step Brothers? When they would do like the most stupidest things to each other. You know what I'm saying? How silly they were. Mark, have you ever heard jaw on the floor? Not even floor. I'm gonna take the R off. Jaw on the floor. You hear me? I was like, hell no. See, and that's why I don't believe in paying people ahead of time. Because, see, you got your damn money, Mark. You got your money. I was like, bro, did you know you were coming to court today? Oh, so you finna wing the hell out of this. You finna joke your way through this entire thing. And a jokey joke is real cute. Now, let's talk about it. We all like a good joke. We all like a little bit of entertainment. But you know what? Do it with somebody else. Don't play with my time. Don't play with my freedom. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about if I were like the defendant. Listen, if I were the defendant, I would have put his ass in a fucking choke, in a headlock. They would have had to escort me up out of there because, bro, you may be entertaining, but I'm going to need you to not lean on that for the majority of your closing argument. Listen, at one point I said, oh my God. I'm looking around. When I tell you, we did laugh. I think people were shocked. I think people came to see Marc go to work. Miss Queen Liz says, yes, he threw everything under the bus, including himself. Listen, you had to have been drunk. I'm gonna say the first half, and I'm just kidding when I say he was drunk. I'm being, because that's what it was given. An old white man that said, "Fuck it, you know what? I got my money. I got my $1 million. I'ma just show up." Have you ever just showed up and winged a job interview and tried to rely on your previous experience and BS your way through an argument and BS your way through questions? Because that's what the hell Marc Agnifilo did this morning. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Hold on. Tush says New Yorkers know he's off the walls. Completely off the walls. Okay, Kimberly, listen. He was talking to New Yorkers, not Southerners. I get it. But shit, that man's freedom is on the line. That man's freedom is on the line, bro. You ain't got nothing else? You ain't got nothing else in your bag of tricks? Listen, I ain't gonna lie. I've been telling y'all, I said, I can't wait for the defense to get up there. I know the government, the prosecution did their thing, right? Yesterday. I just knew these bad boys, this $1 million baby was gonna walk all over that prosecution's closing statement. Marc acted like a 60-year-old frat boy in that courtroom. Marc acted like a 60-year-old frat boy. And it was funny. Have you ever had to work with somebody or go to school with somebody and they don't really have to do a lot of work because they're funny? They're engaging, somewhat of a jock. That's what his presentation was given. Now, let me be fair. When he came back, the second half, he cleaned it up. He was more buttoned up and he was trying to connect the dots. But here's where I feel like, Marc, shit, you set yourself back because now you got a lot of ground to cover because you decided you wanted to be a damn comedian up in here. And you took too much time Marc made jokes for about 45 minutes, y'all. Marc made jokes for about 45 minutes. At one point, Marc was going on and on and on, and Marc was laughing at his own jokes. The judge had to say, hold up, how much longer do you have? Because we need to take a break. He said, you know what? Now is a good time to take a break. I know it is, because you done went down your own damn rabbit hole, and even you didn't know how to get out of it. Morgan, let me do my thing, Morgan. Morgan say, elaborate on why you're saying this. What happened? I just told you. He acted like a jock. It was funny. It was engaging. It really wasn't giving a good defense. It was funny. It's entertaining, but can we get to the law? Can we get to the law part? You know, the government did a really good job of saying you don't need this to prove that. That's what we were waiting for Marc to do. Make a few jokey jokes, put a little fuzzy stuff in there, but let's go ahead and get to the point with these jurors and let them know, you know what? This is hogwash. This is BS. The reason why we're here, it took him too long. It took him half a day. It took him damn near 4 hours to get to the point. Do you get what I'm saying? And when he did get to the point and the government had a chance to have their rebuttal, one thing Comey said is, you've sat here for 5 to 6 hours listening to him. I don't have that kind of time. She made a joke. I'm not going to even go through what he said because I don't have that kind of time. And we all laugh, right? Leon feels like it was a good defense. It was choppy, Leon. Listen, I'm trying to keep it real with y'all. Now, let me tell you what I could do. I could do like a lot of content creators and come on this mofo and tell you exactly what you want to hear and get my clicks and my views and get my money and log the fuck off. I could do that. That is so easy to do. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I told y'all from day one, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on in that courtroom. If they're doing a good job, they're doing a good job. If they're not, they're not. The first half, he struggled. He struggled and he leaned on his jokes to get him through. He appeared to be ill prepared for a substantial case like this. And maybe that's just the way he closes, right? Maybe that's just his thing, his style. Listen, it was cringeworthy at best. I saw Xavier, what's his name? Xavier Donaldson scratching his head, rubbing his bald head like, what the fuck? I saw Brian shifting. Brian still should have covered. Brian still should have closed, or some of you are even saying Nicole. Some of you are saying Nicole. Were you there, Chief? Were you say I'm lying? Boy, bye. Okay, anywho, this was a hot ass mess. And this is one of the, let me tell you what I thought. We get outside. People were saying, did you see what I just saw? Because I feel like, am I the only one? No, it was a mess. It was a mess. And many of us agreed that it was a mess. Nah, we don't block him. He can disagree. It's okay. It's okay. We're not going to block him for disagreeing. So watch this. This is what I really felt. Marc has been doing this for such a long. You know what? Well, then go to your own fucking channel and do your own commentary. And you a damn lie. You wouldn't in there. Because if you were in there, you would be commentating on the shit right now and giving your take as opposed to being over here with me. So that's how I know you're a liar. And I said what I said. Now, listen, this is what I feel like Marc did. I feel like Marc has been doing this for such a while. And there are some people, once they've done things over and over and over, they take it for granted. You know, if you can sing, you'd be like, oh, I don't need to prepare too much. What are the words? And that's what it was given. He didn't overly prepare. He winged it. At one point, Marc went down a rabbit hole. He had to come back to the paper to see where he was and say, hold on, wait a minute. Let me go look. Hold on. And that's fine. Yeah, he was cursing. I'm not going to say it was unprofessional. I'm not going to say it was unprofessional that he was cursing, because a lot of times he was referring to some of the text messages that were entered into the court as evidence. Here's the thing. Some of the words that he was cursing and saying would have been better served if a woman would have done the closing arguments. And that's exactly what I mean by cringe-worthy. Completely cringe-worthy. Did you prepare? Did you think it through? Did you walk through how this would land? It's jokey, it's fun, it's entertainment, but was it a solid defense? No. No, it was not. I'm waiting. I was hoping that he would be able to outline it and make it plain and clear outside of the jokes to the jury. He did better the second half, but man, it was a bumpy ride the first half. It was a bumpy ride the first half. Very bumpy, very confusing, hilarious, yes, but you know, you're an attorney. You're not a comedian. I get the jokes to loosen them up. But let me just tell you, and I'm going to go through, and some of you are, yeah, there was some very insensitive moments. And the part where I feel like the defense dropped the ball was at the end. He should have never reviewed that video. Marc should have never reviewed that video of Diddy attacking Cassie at the Intercontinental Hotel. It did not serve. It did not serve the defense, nor did it serve the defendant, because he kind of left a cliffhanger as to who was really at fault. Was she there? Basically hinting, we don't know what she did when she was in a room. And then he stopped it at one point and said, look at this, look at this. You see how she lunged and the security guy had to kind of tell her to back up. It was a reach. It was a reach with the video. He could have left the video out. He didn't do it clean. It was a very sloppy job. I'm not going to say he blew. I don't know. You know what? You want me to be honest? Did he blow the case? I think he didn't help it. How about that? I don't think he just scored a clear touchdown. I don't think he scored a clear touchdown. The government scored a touchdown. I thought the defense was about to walk all over the government. So they start off this morning. Diddy comes right on out the back. Diddy didn't do all that extra. You could tell it was a big day for the defense. Diddy didn't do the extra with the love and the hands. He came straight out, no extra. His family was there. The head of security was there. Fahim was there, y'all. Fahim is there. And if you look closely enough in some of the social media videos, you can see him. Just FYI, okay? Fahim was definitely in the building. Packed courtroom, a lot of shit going on, a lot of crap going on, fights outside the courthouse. People, I mean, when I tell you it was messy, from start to finish. It was messy, very aggressive underbelly, very aggressive crowds today. You know why? Because everybody showed up for the defense. People wanted the defense to do a good job. People wanted the defense to stiff arm the hell out of the prosecution. I don't think it was a solid defense, but let's continue. So, packed courthouse, jam packed, a lot of shit going on today at the courthouse. And I did make a note that one of the jurors actually changed her hair. Okay. One of the girls changed her hair and put 2 ponytails in. I was like, okay, everybody's looking forward to this. Marc Agnifilo starts off with his opening statement. With his closing argument. And he starts with his opening and he explains to the jurors. He said, let me tell you something. And keep in mind, y'all are reading this thing. You say, oh, I've seen inner city press. Yeah, it's one thing to read it. It's another thing to be in that room and hear the tone and the jokes around it and be like, okay, that didn't land so well. That landed, a lot of this isn't landing where you're going with it. So I just wanted to put out that disclaimer. So he starts off and he tells the jury, listen, there's 2 trials here. There's the first trial is where you have the witnesses, you have the text messages, and you have the evidence. And the second trial is a fake trial by the prosecution. They have absolutely nothing. Then he goes on and he says, right at this point, I'm following him, right? He said the first conclusion is the government has badly exaggerated. What's the evidence? What is the evidence saying, in the real trial? He said, this is a trial where the government is actually trying or putting a man on trying a man because of his lifestyle. At this point, I'm following him. He's doing a great job. He said, this is exactly what's happening. I'm like, amen. I can agree. He says the government is attaching some of the most serious accusations and claims, very exaggerated claims, false claims, and they're trying to put a RICO charge and a racketeering charge on what is a lifestyle. He complimented the jurors. He said, listen, you're very smart people. I want to thank you for your time. This is your house and yada, yada, yada. And then he gets to business, right? He gets to his act. He says, what does the evidence show? Then he moves on. He says, before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about who Mr. Combs is. He's successful. He's a self-made Black entrepreneur. I'm still following him. Great job, right? He says larger companies want to do business with him, have wanted to do business with him, and he's made a lot of these larger companies a lot of money. He said even the government's witnesses have said that they are moved by Mr. Combs. He says you've had graduates, Harvard business graduates come in and said that they've never seen a guy as brilliant in business as Mr. Combs is, that he's motivated them to be better. His work ethic, his discipline, everything that he's dedicated to being a billionaire and how he's helped others. Many men have been moved by this. And as a result of this, they've wanted to do business with him, right? So what he did is he started to use the witnesses that the government called. He used their words against him. And then he goes on. He said, they love him, y'all. This is what he tells the jury. He said, this isn't a case about RICO. This isn't a case about racketeering. This is a case about love. They loved him so much that when it was time to leave, some of them wanted to commit suicide. That's when I said it gets cringy, y'all. Cringy, uncomfortable. Marc, come on, Marc. You gonna play? Marc, I swear to God, he said it. Yeah, they loved him so much when it was time to leave. You heard him. He told the jury. She said she wanted to commit suicide. And I thought, Marc, that's not funny. Come on, man. Bro, hold on. I told y'all, listen, I was like, did he just say that shit? And this is when I was like, damn, Mark, you started off good. Yeah, people, they did not want to leave him. They loved him so much. This is Mark. He said they may not have liked him all the time, but they loved him so much so they didn't want to live when it was time to go. Then he knew, or I'm like, okay, Mark, you probably going a little bit too far. So he shifts his focus to Derek Ferguson. And he says, and he would shift suddenly. It wasn't like smooth transitions. It would be awkward silence. And he said, okay, let's talk about Derek Ferguson. He says, let's talk about Derek Ferguson. He's from the Bronx. He's a Harvard business graduate. He says, listen, you heard me ask Derek. You're a scholared man. You're an educated man. Of all the places where you could have worked, why did you choose to work for Mr. Combs? And he said, you heard Derek on the stand. He said that he chose Bad Boy Records because other places didn't give him the opportunity that Diddy did. And this is what he was talking about. He says, listen, at 24 years old in 1993, only at 24 years old, this man, and he pointed to Diddy, was building DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. The government didn't make him do that. He was doing this before it was a thing. He said and guess what? The evidence supports this. The evidence supports this. So he pulls up a picture of all of the people that have worked for Diddy. And I got what he was saying. So this was a good point. What he's saying, he says, you see these people? What the government is trying to do is turn this man's business and establish it as an enterprise that breaks the law. And you know what? I was like, that's a good point. That's a good point. I get where he's going. And this is where I said it wasn't a strong defense, because you should have just said what the hell you was trying to say. Go ahead and say it. Don't leave it to the jury to assume what you're saying. Put it in front of him, because what he should have said is, you have this rich, Black, successful guy that has done a better job than white corporations of making sure that his enterprise was diverse, it was equitable, and it was inclusive. And then you have this side of the government, and he should have said, this is the biases that we were talking about. Why is he really here? He didn't finish, y'all. That's what I'm saying. He didn't close it out clean. He inferred it, and then he pulled back from it. But I got what he was saying. It was choppy. I got it because I'm Black. But what I'm saying, it wasn't a strong enough argument that somebody else would pick up on. Do y'all get what I'm saying when I say it wasn't strong? And I'm going to give you more examples. You got to say it, bro. You got to go ahead and say it. So what he was showing was all of these beautiful mixed array of people from all different walks of life. And what the government is trying to make you feel like is there are a bunch of criminals. But he didn't. He said it, but he didn't say it, and it wasn't strong enough. You got to say it with your chest. All right, let's continue. He said, this is their fake trial. This is the fake trial that I'm talking about. This, and I'm like, okay, Mark, you got to elaborate. Then he jumped. He stopped. He said, let's talk about the Homeland Security, SRT, the Search and Rescue Team. I could be saying it. Is it the Search and Rescue? I think, I could be saying it wrong. He said they go into this man has a mansion, and they went into it and they destroyed the property. This is a good point he made. He said they destroyed the property. Come on, y'all. This is the SRT team, the best of the best of the best. And you mean to tell me that when you have an SRT team that you claim moves so sophisticated, but you can't follow protocol when it comes to search and seizures? You can't even use a camera to document what you did while you were in this man's house? You mean to tell me the government could not find a viable witness from this team to sit on that stand and tell us where the guns were? Who moved them? And I made a note. I said, this is a good point, because at this point, Diddy crossed his legs. His arms rested, and I said, Diddy is feeling comfortable. Marc was able to gain a little bit of ground. He was able to shift away from that suicide comment and get into things that are important, right? Okay, so he recovered from that. And then Marc goes on to say, this is the real. I want to focus on the real versus the fake. And he didn't say it, but what he didn't use these words. I'm going to paraphrase. Basically, what he's telling the jury is they are trying to use this man's success as coercion. This is what it's about. They're going to use his mansion. They're going to use his success. They're going to use the fact that he works hard, his money, his achievements as coercion, almost as if they're punishing him for being successful. Now, I'm doing a better job of breaking it down because he left a lot of cliffhangers for the jury to read between the lines. I don't know if that was the best strategy. That's what I'm talking about when I say from $1 million man. From $1 million man, I need you to say it because there's a lot of white folks that's on that jury that's not going to understand what you're talking about. And they're going to feel like it was an incomplete sentence, right? And I know, like, I get it. Y'all like to laugh. I get it. Y'all like entertainment, but I need you to make that shit plain and clear for the non-lawyers that are seated in that jury box. So then he goes on after that. He says, oh, this was funny. He said, yeah, they want to use his money against him. They want to use his mansion against him, his success. He goes, well, guess what? I hope Jane Doe, I hope she's having a good day today. That shit was funny. Now, that was funny, but is it enough? And he says, but I hope the government feels better. Oh, boy. I hope the government feels better. The big bad government. Oh, yeah, you sent in the SRT team and you found the Astroglide. You found the baby oil. Thank you, America. Thank you, America. We found the baby oil. We found the Astroglide. Oh, look here. I got it. The Astroglide. I got the baby oil. That's what I'm talking about, cringy. I was like, Marc, come down from there. You're way too high. I was like, Marc is acting a fool. That's what I said, acting a damn fool in that courthouse. So then Marc wasn't done. Oh, Marc was not done with their ass. Marc said, and then you take, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and then they take the yellow crime scene tape and they wrap it around his bedroom. They wrap it around his bedroom, ladies and gentlemen, as if a crime has been committed from making love. He said, now they want to go back. Now they want to go back and they want to label every hotel he's been in as racketeering. Now the crime is your private life. He said, but let me tell you what, ain't nobody called 911 because the last time I checked the phone it's a 9. You can damn sure dial a 9 and 2 ones. Ain't nobody called the cops. Ain't nobody called a 911. And the last time I checked phones, a 9 and a 1 was still on. I said, oh my God. Listen, hold on. Then he goes on to say, but I tell you what they did do. I'll tell you who they did call. They called civil attorneys. They called civil lawyers. And guess what? He said, Cassie sued for $30 million. I was like, good point. Come on, Marc. Get it together. Clean it up. He said, this case right now, what we're here for today, this case came from Cassie's lawsuit. And you know why she got $30 million? You know why she sued for it? Because he had it. She sued because he had it. No money, no case. If he didn't have any money, we wouldn't be here today. Now, look, you got to get a man a round of applause for that one. You know what I'm saying? This is where I say it was choppy because Mark would hit a good point, and it's almost like he took a whiff or a puff of imaginary weed in his head and got completely got off topic again. He would be winning, and then somewhere, that's why I say acting like an old drunk white man, somewhere he will drift away and then come back to shore and drift away and then come back to shore. Let me finish. He says, and that was a great no money, no case. We would not be here today. He said, this case is about love. This trial is about love. This trial is about jealousy. This trial is about cheating. And please don't forget, this trial is about money. He said, listen, I counted. Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I counted. Do you know the word love was spoken 881 times while the witnesses took the stand? 881 times. We all started laughing. Because did nobody know that, but Mark knew it. Hold on, let me take a sip of my water, y'all. Hold on. He says, did you notice not one? Oh, now this was a good point, and I wish he would have drove it home. And this is what I mean. He said, did y'all notice throughout this trial that not one person challenged Cassie Ventura's testimony? Why is that? Why is that? He says, and he kind of put his hands up, and I thought, that's a good point. Come on, Mark. Come on, Mark. Drive it home. Poke some holes in it. And he did later on, but it was in a very salacious way. That was a little bit, I don't know, Mark. You don't want to be, you got to do it a little bit better. He says, yeah, not one person here. I mean, we asked her some questions, but nobody really challenged the authenticity, the validity of her testimony. He says, now let me be honest. We own a domestic violence. We own it. We don't deny it. We're going to accept full responsibility, and we're going to accept full accountability. Charge him with domestic violence, because if you do, he's guilty. Put him in jail. That's what he says. He says, put him in jail. But that's not what you're charging him with. What you're charging him with is bribery, kidnapping, and racketeering, RICO, etc. However, Cassie sat here and told you her issue with him, is what he said. He says, she told you that her issue was domestic violence. Don't believe me, believe her. And then he refers to an Instagram post that Cassie wrote about the domestic violence. He said she could have said anything. She could have said the freak-offs are a problem for me. The male escorts are a problem for me. The yelling, the drugs, the screaming, the racketeering, the kidnapping are a problem for me. She could have said anything, but she did. This is what he said. He said what she said is the domestic violence is a problem. But that's not what the government is charging him with. He said she was clear, and he kept repeating that. She was clear, she was clear, she was clear. She had a problem with being beat up. She had a problem with domestic violence, and that was her only issue with being with Mr. Combs. So believe her. Why are you going to allow the government to tell you what the problem is when she told you out of her own mouth, I don't like being handled like that. I don't like being assaulted. He says, let me tell you how this started. Let's go back a little bit. Let me tell you how this relationship started. Cassie had a boyfriend when she met Mr. Combs. She had a boyfriend for 3 years that was 10 years older than her. Some of us was like, because, Cassie was 19 when Diddy first met her. That means she was with Ryan since she was 16. You see what I'm saying? So Cassie was in the rap game at age 16. At age 16, y'all. Now I was like, damn. Cassie was dating a 26-year-old at age 16. So by age 19, he was 29. He said the government is trying to get you to believe that this was a one-sided relationship, that only Mr. Combs had an interest in the love affair. Please believe me when I say they had a relationship, ladies and gentlemen. And he says Cassie matched his energy. They had a very complicated love affair. And guess what? He took it there. Queenie say he took it there. Yes, he took it there. And then there and there. He says, and as a matter of fact, they loved out loud. They loved out loud. Complicated. Oh, but she was no angel, he said, because she matched him. She was there, step by step. So then he goes back to Cassie's. All of Cassie's text messages. And he said, this is beautiful. If you sit here and you read this, these are some of the most beautiful things I've heard. It'll make you cry. It'll make you cry, ladies and gentlemen. I've never seen anything this beautiful. And they go on and on and on. There's thousands of beautiful messages like this between Miss Ventura and Mr. Combs. Some of the most beautiful things I've seen. The problem is he had too many women. That's the problem. And this relationship just was not going to last. I'm acting like I'm Mark, y'all. Okay. And this relationship, it just wasn't going to last. He had too many women, and he had 5, as a matter of fact. So guess what Cassie Ventura did, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? She left. She left when she had enough, and she left like she always could leave. She was always free to leave. Did anything happen to her? No. No. That's what he said. Did nothing happen to her? She left. Then he said, yeah. Barbara says Mark is a jerk. He said, listen, nothing happened. She's married. Nothing happened. All of these people took the witness stand. Oh, I can't leave. I can't leave. I can't leave because of what's going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing happened to her. He says, yeah, was my client a jerk at times? Yes, he was a jerk. He was proud. His feelings were hurt sometimes. You would see it in the text messages. There are times he felt disrespected. But you know what? They were swingers. They were swingers. That's all this case. This is it, folks. There's nothing here to see. They're swingers. That's what they like. This is a lifestyle. Cassie likes to have sex. She's a beautiful woman. She likes it intense. Good for her. What he said. Good for her. She likes it intense. She likes it a lot. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Good for her. And guess what? She ain't afraid of nothing. She ain't afraid of nothing. Heck, let's talk about Kid Cudi. Cudi testified that Cassie played them both. Now, that's not an easy thing to do. You got a billionaire, and you got this guy, and you got these guys that are in a rap game. How many women do you know can play guys like this? That wasn't easy to do, but guess who did it? Cassie did. She lied to both of them. I told you Cassie's not scared. Cassie's a gangster. That's what he said, y'all. I'm done. That's what he said. That's why I was like, Mark, He said she got herself a burner phone. And not only that, ladies and gentlemen, she would purchase 2 hotel rooms, one to do the freak off and one for her burner phone. Who does that? Who gets a hotel room for their burner phone? Burner phone? Ha ha ha. The burner phone had its own room. Well, y'all think I'm lying. Y'all, I swear to God, this is how it went. This is how it went. Hold on. Then he calmed down. Hold on. Listen, I'm just telling you how the man acted in court today. We was shocked. And that's what they're saying when they say, oh, he was very entertaining. He was. We were shocked. We were shocked. So then he says, let's talk about racketeering. That's what I mean. He would just change the subject in a minute. Let's talk about racketeering. The first charge, let's look at the 2004 kidnapping of Capricorn. He said, listen, that Capricorn Clark, you know, she said, I just wanted to get my life back. I just wanted to get my life back. He said, you know what she was talking about, right? She's talking about him. She wants her life back with him, ladies and gentlemen. She wants him in her life. And then he hinted, y'all, I swear, he hinted that Capricorn may have been a bit off. Then he went on to insinuate, you know, there's women that came into the fold that Mr. Combs was attracted to, but he wasn't attracted to Capricorn. He said, you heard her. You heard her when she says we have a very platonic relationship. What do you mean platonic? Either you're friends or you're not. He says, what she mean platonic? And then he insinuated that she wanted adult chemistry with Diddy, that her world was with him. He said, yeah, you said you want to go back. Why would you want to go back to somebody that kidnapped you 5 days? It doesn't make sense to me. Why would you go back to somebody who threatened to throw you in the East River? Whoa, I just want my life back. You're going to kidnap me for 5 days. You're going to throw me in the East River, and all I want is you. I just want to be back with you. Cringeworthy. Funny? Yes. Entertaining? Yes. Cringeworthy? Absolutely. And that's when you see my shorts and I say, Marc Agnifilo is up there acting a damn fool. That's what I meant. He said, now look at the government. You went home every day. That ain't kidnapping. That ain't no kidnapping. You went home every day for 5 days in a row. Who gets to go home after being kidnapped? She did. And now the government is actually charging this from 21 years ago. She went home. Really? This is what he said. Really? Kidnapping? And then you said you kept doing it to pass. I just kept taking a lie detector test to pass. I wanted to get my job back. This man was starring on Broadway. You really think he had time to worry about her taking a lie detector test? You really think he picked up the phone and said, hey, how's that lie detector test going? How's she doing over there? Keep her another day. I swear to God, Mark was up there acting a damn fool. And he said, now, she told you when she found out that the jewelry was missing from the bag, she called them. She called his office. She told the office staff to put everybody on lockdown and to search everybody. Yes, she's claiming she was kidnapped when she's the one that said lock the doors and put the building on lockdown. I was like, Mark. Then he goes on. He said, ain't nobody else claiming kidnapping. She's the only one. Everybody else came in here and testified that I took a lie detector test, and so did she. But now she's claiming kidnapping. He told the juror, you have a right when you're in that deliberation room, you have a right to to look at each other and say, this sure is a stretch. You're allowed to question that. Is this not a stretch? A woman that gets to go home every day? Oh, it's 5 o'clock. You got to let me go from being kidnapped. He said, the government is stretching this. So then he goes to 2022 of 2011. At this point, Diddy sat straight up and leaned all the way on the table, right? On the table. I said, this may be important. It's something about this that may be important with Diddy because shit, at this point, he came out of his relaxed position and he put both of his arms on the table. And he said, then she tried to tell you she was kidnapped a second time and he had a gun. He didn't have no gun. He said there's 4 elements to this. Number 1, why is she lying? Why would she lie and say he had a gun? And that he came to her house, watch this, at 5:30 in the morning. He didn't need no gun to get her up at 5:30 in the morning. Hell, she's been waiting years for him to come to her house. He could have told her to go to the moon and she would have went. She likes him. She's been waiting for this moment. You mean to tell me you think he needs a gun to get her attention to leave with him? This is the moment she's been waiting on. I swear to God, that man said that. He don't need no gun for her. She wanted that adult chemistry. So she left and she went with him on her own accord. And then he said, then number 2, Cassie told Cuddy that I gave Sean your address. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a billionaire. He has resources. He don't need no address from no Cassie. If he wanted the address, he could get it. He said, the third thing I want you to think about is if Capricorn Clark was a real victim of kidnapping, ain't no way she would have stayed in that car when he went in that house. If she was a real victim of kidnapping, she would have gotten out of there. He goes, but oh no, let her tell it. Let her tell it. She picks up the phone. She calls Lauren London and she says, I want to get out of here, but I won't, but I can't because I'm afraid of the mountain lions. The mountain lion? Whoa, wait a minute. The mountain lions? So you're being kidnapped. Mm-hmm. And he has a gun. Mm-hmm. And you get a moment to escape. And instead of running, and instead of being worried about your life being taken, you don't want to go because you're scared of a mountain lion? I swear to God. I swear to God. Afraid of a lion? Listen. He says there was no gun because she's lying. She's not a real victim of kidnapping. She never mentioned a gun to Kid Cudi. He says, you remember that? You remember that? When look at her testimony. Look at what they said to each other. If he pulled a gun, she would have told Kid Cudi he's coming with a gun. She never saw a gun. That's why she didn't tell Cudi there was a gun. And if there was a gun, he would have been charged with having a gun, but he was simply charged with trespassing. When Officer Ignacio pulled up, do you not think that a police that has nothing to do with this would have locked him up? But no, there was no gun. And there was no mention of a gun in a police report. Now, if it comes down to believing a Capricorn Clark or the police, he said, I don't know about you. I'm going to go with the police. And then he said, I want you to remember, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's important that you look at her credibility. Because she told us that there was a car chase between Diddy and Cudi. And Cudi testified on the stand there was no car chase. She made it up, he said. The police said there was no car chase. She's making these things up in her head. She's a liar. At this point, I said, oh shit, I wrote a note, y'all. I said, this is the strangest piece of fruits I've seen. This is bizarre. And then he gets to the arson. He said, let's focus on the arson. No evidence, no prints, no DNA, nothing. Who else would have done it? According to the government. The government keeps telling you, we're not saying Mr. Combs necessarily did it. He says, well, guess what? Who else could have done it is not evidence. You can't come in here and walk into a jury and say, well, who else could have done it? And enter that as an evidence. And enter that as evidence. That ain't no evidence. He says, we have a Molotov cocktail in one glove. This is a horrible investigation. And it sucked. That's what he said. Horrible investigation, and it sucked. But the government wants to enter into evidence the question of, well, who else would have done it? He said, and not only that, no, I swear to God, Kevin said, I know you lying. Listen, he put on a damn show like a, that's why I say we were like, is this real? Is this real? Because I know damn well I couldn't have done that. If I was an attorney, they would have walked my black ass up out of there. They would have committed me. They would have committed me to a mental health facility if I would have got up there, if any one of those other attorneys that were black and got up there and did that. But Mark did it. I kid you not. So then he said, listen, and then you have this witness, this government witness that takes the stand. Let me tell you something. He said they had no DNA. Now all of a sudden they don't have no DNA. Can't nobody give us answers. Really, government? Really? He said, imagine if they would have had this man's DNA. Oh, it would have been completely different. The tone would have been completely different. But now all of a sudden you can't explain as an expert why there's no DNA. But you would have known if you had it. Then you would have been an expert in all things DNA. He says DNA would have been your middle name. Oh, DNA would have been your middle name had you had his fingerprints. But now since you ain't got nothing, they had a hard time explaining DNA. He said this was a horrible investigation. They collected a partial profile that's consistent with the female. Oh, they didn't tell you that, did they? Oh, don't you wish you known that? They didn't tell you that the DNA profile that they collected was partial matched to a woman? Oh. I wonder why they didn't tell you that. It was a partial female contributor. And not only that, all of a sudden, there was no follow-ups. Now they can't find the prints. And the police said that Capricorn's brother obstructed the investigation. Imagine that. Imagine what the story would have been had it been his fingerprint, had it been his partial DNA. And then he goes back and he highlights this email. He says, and then what the government wants to do, ladies and gentlemen, they want to use this email to say who else could have done it. So he pulls up the email where Sean Puffy Combs is talking to Veronica Bang. Let me ask y'all something. For those of you that are in the courtroom, is Veronica Bang who I think it is? Because these people have, okay, listen. So this person sends an email that Sean Puffy Combs is threatening to release 2 freak-off videos. And Sean Puffy Combs is a very formal email. He said, oh, yeah, now he's Sean Puffy Combs. Oh, now we're calling him his real name. So what he was trying to do with the jurors is say, do you really feel like this came from Cassie? She's never referred to him as Sean Puffy Combs. She's never talked in this type of manner when addressing him. And I think he was trying to create a doubt around the validity of the email and where it truly came from and who truly originated it. Okay. Now that's what I'm saying. There was choppy moments where he could have ended with an exclamation point and or a period. He left a lot of commas in his defense. That's what I'm saying. Okay. He said, and also in the email, it's alleging that Mr. Combs told this person that he's going to have something done to Cassie and Cuddy. He said, there's no mentioning of blowing up a car here. It says that I'm going to have something done to the two of you, and I'm going to do it when I'm out of town, and I'm going to get somebody else to do it. He said, let's just say it's true. Let's just say it's true. Nobody touched them. They're still here. So I was like, Mark, you got to clean it up a little bit better. So then he goes on. He says, let's talk about the kidnapping with Cassie. He talks about the London hotel. He stayed on that very briefly, very briefly. And he said she wanted to stay at Diddy's home. That's her testimony. Please turn to page 769. Ladies and gentlemen, when you want to go to somebody's house, this is not kidnapping. This isn't kidnapping when you tell somebody, I really want to go to your house. You know what? He says, people want you to believe that Diddy's the only celebrity here. Let me just explain to you what's happening. This would have been bad press for both of them. He said it happens all the time in the world of Hollywood and celebrity and stardom. When people get into fights or people do bad things, they don't want bad press. They didn't want domestic violence in the press. They didn't want a public scandal. Cassie had a lot of things going on for her, and they both wanted to hide the domestic violence. Was it domestic violence, he's saying? Yes, it was. Kidnapping? No. This was not an attempt to kidnap her. This was simply an attempt by two celebrities to cover up their fight so that they would not be impacted by bad press. And then he skips to robbery. He said, let's talk about robbery. The Intercontinental Hotel, then he instructs the jury to read the charge. And he says the defendant acted with, in order to charge him with robbery, you have to establish a few elements around robbery. He focused on one. He says you have to be able, beyond the benefit of a doubt, right? Establish that the defendant acted with corrupt intent to persuade a witness from speaking with law enforcement, blah, 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 and all of that. He said, this is about avoidance of bad press. This is not a RICO. Wanting somebody to not release a tape isn't because you're running this big, sophisticated operation. After having a fight and putting somebody in a hotel, this is what he's saying, isn't about a RICO. It's about, all of this is about avoiding bad press. Not because you have this entire enterprise that runs out off of breaking the laws and have to get rid of this video in order for the enterprise to continue to evolve. Cassie wasn't put in a hotel because they operate under kidnapping and they kidnap people in order to keep the enterprise afloat. This is what he's saying, right? At this point, I was like, Mark, you're getting a little weak. You're getting a little weak in my head, right? So then he just left it like that. No, he didn't. He says the evidence. Oh, he made a really good point. He said, let's talk about it. Because not only did Mr. Combs want this to go away, want this video to go away, but also Miss Ventura wanted this to go away. He said in the hotel, the Beverly Hills Hotel wanted this to go away because the director of security testified that he was worried. The hotel didn't want the press. And when asked why did they get rid of the video, why they were concerned, actually their testimony was, this is the way the world works in Hollywood. With celebrities, you make things go away. And even though us regular people may not understand it, they make bad press go away. So the Beverly Hills Hotel made the video go away so that it would impact their business as well. I made a note. I said, this is a weak argument by the defense. Is it true? Yes, but you got to be able to give a little bit more. And I'm not sure if he knew what to do with it. And I kind of feel like Mark seems to be a white bread kind of guy. But even though he's defending Diddy, he wasn't really sure. This is me, right? My personal note. I'm not sure if he believes what he was saying. There, I said it. He didn't deliver it in a way that could have ate. It was a great opportunity, but he didn't land the plane well. Let's continue. And then he talked about the NDA, right? Because Eddie Garcia testified, and also they brought it up as an exhibit in the evidence that when Diddy had that NDA signed by Eddie Garcia after Eddie received $100,000 for making that video go away, he says, listen, the government wants you to believe that this is this big bad enterprise, and they're going to show you the letterhead where it says Combs Enterprise and that Eddie couldn't talk to anybody. He says, but the part that I want you to focus on, if you look at this piece, and he shows a piece of the NDA where it highlights that the person or the individual that's signing that NDA, they can do what the law requires related to investigation, related to any federal investigation, any court proceedings. He says, so guess what? He didn't have to keep anything. This was not an example of witness tampering by having Eddie to sign the NDA, because clearly there's a clause in the NDA that states, listen, should any of this fall under federal investigation, you are free to talk to any investigator, any law enforcement, or testify in court, okay? Then they talked, oh, y'all, this was a good one now. He says another example that the government is going to try to give you of witness tampering is when D-Rock offered Mia money. He said, I bet they didn't show you this. I bet they didn't show you this. He pulls up a text message. And it's D-Rock and Mia. They're going back and forth after D-Rock reached out to Mia after Cassie's lawsuit dropped. He's like, hey, how you doing? Mia was very excited. You could tell they had a very positive relationship. Mia's like, oh my gosh, my brother. So good to hear from you. Stay out the fray. Keep working hard, blah, blah, blah. And it says, I'm working on community projects where I'm, it gives she gave a few examples. She's feeding the homeless. She's building homes for people, that are having economic challenges. And she said, y'all, basically he proved that she asked for money. She asked for money. He said, I bet they didn't show you this. I bet they didn't tell you this. And what Mia said is, I'm out of Skrilla money. To which D-Rock responded, you're my sister. I love you. I'm not rich, but I'm not poor. I can try to help you with what I have. He said, don't you wish you had known that? Now, I feel like he did a great job with that. I was like, oh shit, I didn't see that. He said, you see how they'll do it? They'll only show you one side of a story. She asked for the money. So they weren't trying to tamper with the witness and pay her off. She asked for it. To which he responded, but the government failed to show you this evidence. He goes on and he shows a letter about Mia. And he wants to highlight that she was not forced into labor to work for Mr. Combs. And he showed a letter where Mia penned a letter to Diddy on his 45th birthday, wishing him a happy birthday, speaking of how much she enjoys being a part of the Combs family as it relates to an employee, being an employee, and how she felt joy, she felt loved, and she felt like this was a home for her. He says, you don't feel joy and love and home and homely or homey when this is a racketeering enterprise or an enterprise that operates and functions off of racketeering. I made a note. I said, child, at this point, we may have a verdict by the end of the day. Then he goes on and y'all watch this. So he named off. This is where it got kind of cringe. And I was like, damn, Mark, you're losing us. So then he starts to name off all of the men that Cassie has been with sexually. But what he wanted to do is he wanted to focus on the men that were high in celebrity and entertainment. He talked about, oh, she was with, you remember he said Cassie likes sex. She likes it intense. That's good for her. She enjoys sex. She matches his energy. She's not afraid of nothing. She played both him and Kid Cudi. She was with Cudi. She was with Michael B. Jordan. He says, now Cassie's not the type of girl that's going to sit here and clutch her pearls. Oh no, that ain't the kind of girl we're talking about. She's a beautiful woman. She has a right to have as much sex as she wants to. And she did. I said, oh shit, Mark. Damn, Mark. I said, Mark don't give a damn at this point. Mark ready to go home. Mark got his money. Mark didn't even prepare for the test. He just gonna wing it. He ain't even trying to clean it up at this point. And he left it and said, let's talk about Jane. Let's talk about Jane. Because Jane was clear about what she wanted. Jane was clear about what she enjoyed. And as a matter of fact, she made fantasy a reality. She picked the men she wanted to sleep with. She picked the one she liked. She told you she did. You're right. Captain Save-A-Beard said there is no sympathy in a fight. I have to agree. I have to agree. He said, oh yeah, she brought reality to fantasy. Let's talk about Vegas. Let's talk about Vegas of 2024. What did she do? He said, listen. So at this point, everybody's looking at him, right? He says, listen, I know this sounds like a big spring break-a-thon, right? I have to agree with you. He said, you know who she went to Vegas with. Come on. I can't say it, but y'all know who it is. You know what she did in Vegas. Yeah, we didn't press her. But you mean to tell me that you went to Vegas and got $9,000 basically. You fly to Vegas with a rapper and you go in a room and this guy is with his wife/girlfriend and Anton is in there having sex with the woman and you didn't do anything? Okay. You expect us to believe that. You expect us to believe that. Now, we didn't push her. We didn't press her. You know, she said all she did was show her breasts. But come on. We all know anywhere that Antoine is, there's most likely going to be some sex. She picked Anton. But she wants us to believe she didn't do anything. And nothing happened. And she only showed her breasts. And then she wants us to believe that that rapper and his wife asked her to refer them to a male escort because they just heard that she may know a little bit about the lifestyle. Come on. Come on, really? Guess what she did? She secretly went to another rapper's freak off. Does not her story have holes in it? Does it make sense to you? Because it doesn't make sense to me. She wanted money. She went to another man's freak off, and that's why Mr. Combs was upset with her. Because she went to another rapper's freak off, and that's why he was yelling at her. And I can prove she wanted money. Because she displayed a very extreme level of violence in June of 2024. Because she knew that Cassie had gotten $20 million. She displayed, and he says, not only that, she couldn't even explain it to you. Did she explain to you why she did? No, she did not, nor did she care. All of a sudden, she becomes extremely violent and didn't even care to explain it. And it still doesn't make sense to me. Because she wanted money. And he said, and I want to talk about Dawn Hughes, but I don't want to talk about her for long. Dawn Hughes, for those of you that don't know, Dr. Hughes is a clinical forensic psychologist. He said, yeah, she's a hired gun. It's her job to get on the witness stand for the government over and over and over and tell the same story at every single trial over and over and over. Hired gun, no interview. She don't speak to anybody. She just comes in here and she says the same thing in every single trial. So trust yourself. You don't have to believe her. Don't you let her come in here and tell you that these women stay because they're victims. And victims can't necessarily remember all of the details. What do you think? What are your common senses telling you when somebody can't remember details? Mark, you know. So trust yourself over her. You don't need her to explain anything to you. I said, I know damn well Mark did about 3 or 4 shots of Casamigos last night. Casamigos. So then he attacks immunity. He goes on and he talks about immunity and he starts to attack immunity. Good. And he says 2 people. I want to focus on 2 people, Daniel Phillips and Sheree Hayes. Now, the government picked them. I didn't. The government put them on the stand in front of you. I didn't. The government gave them immunity. I didn't. And both of them testified. And both denied under oath, under immunity, on the behalf of the government, that they did not receive sex for money. Hey, these are the government's witnesses. These are their folks. And this is what I mean when I said there's a trial, there's 2 trials. One is real, one is fake. So these men came in here and told you, I am not a paid prostitute. I do not accept money for sex. And you know what the government does? They put them on the witness stand and they tell you exactly what they do and what they don't do. And the government lets them walk out of here. And as soon as the door closes behind them, the government says, yes, they did have sex for money. Oh, really? Is this how you're going to, basically he said, is this what we're doing to our witnesses? Now, who you're going to believe? They said they did. But the government waits to say it behind their back. There's no evidence of prostitution. Show it. Where's the evidence? Show it. They told you, he said they could have picked anybody, but they picked these 2. Of all the escorts they could have chose. Where are they? How come they're not here? Government, where's everybody? And the 2 you bring said, I am not no damn prostitute. And then when they leave, you tell me, oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are. They were prostitutes. But you didn't say that while they were here. He made a really good point. How is this illegal when we have porn industry where people have sex on camera? People get paid to participate in pornography. You have to fly, quote unquote, actors out to do that. If pornography is not illegal, how is this illegal? Should not pornography be considered illegal? Then he says, let's talk about Cowboys for Angels. Y'all, this is so good. I've been telling y'all this. Watch this. He said, this is a legit business. Cowboys for Angels is only one of many of legit businesses where you can order a cowboy tonight if you want one. I'm done. Hold on. He said, he's talking to all of us in the courthouse. He said, if you want a cowboy tonight, you can order one.
I don't want to talk about it.
You just said I'm gonna talk about it.
I get angry. I don't want to.
You know what? I said, you damn sure right. He said, I kid you not. Try it. Try it. You can order you a cowboy if you want one. Perfectly legal. But the government wants you to feel like this is sex trafficking. These are legit businesses. Now, how do you lock him up and don't lock them up? How do you expect, if these are perfectly legally run businesses, how do you expect him to know that this is illegal when these people are allowed to do this. Oh, Mina says she was just on the website. That is so true. So if the owners and all of these, let's talk about it, white corporations are allowed to rent out escorts and it's legal for them, why? Basically what he's saying is, why is it illegal for Mr. Combs? How do you lock him up for legit businesses that are doing this all over the world? Mark says, I want to remind you, it's your job as the jury to decide this case based on the evidence. Have they proved their case with the evidence? Because, ladies and gentlemen, they're claiming enterprise. They're claiming racketeering. And guess what? Combs is the only indicted solo person. Nobody else is here. Nobody else has testified and raised their hand and stated under oath, yep, I work for enterprise. Where are they at? Where are they? And we commit crimes. Not one witness that the government has brought in, and they've brought in many, not one of them have told you that they've committed a crime and this is what is required. He says the government don't have no damn witnesses. They ain't got nothing. Who have you heard say there's an enterprise? Here's the personnel. This is how we make money. Here's the hierarchy. I'm second in command. He's first in command. This is what we do. These are the people we kill. These are our prostitution rings. This is how we sex traffic it. This is how we run drugs. Not one damn person, he says, has taken that stand to tell you where they at. How have they proven this? In order for it to be racketeering, this enterprise would have to exist. This is the second part. Remember I said he did a better job? This is the second part. I just didn't tell y'all this. In order for it to be racketeering, this enterprise would have to exist through the commission of the 8 acts that he's been charged with. The enterprise would have to exist through the commission of arson, through the commission of sex trafficking, through the commission of bribery, through the commission of transportation for prostitution, through the commission of what? Interstate commerce. I said, all right. Damn, Mark. All right. Much, much better. And that's what I was trying to tell y'all, the difference between this morning versus the evening. And maybe he just needed a little something on his stomach after drinking all night, allegedly, right? He just needed a little soup and a sandwich because he came back ready. I said, all right, Mark, now we talking the law. Shit, you should have started with that first and then backdoor with the jugs. But Mark, you was down bad the second quarter. At the end of the first quarter, headed into the second, you was down bad, bro. You had a lot of ground to cover. Shit, I know he was sweating bullets at lunch, but he had to eat because I think Mark went out and partied last night. Now he gets into it. He says, now there has to be at least 2 acts of racketeering. Were 2 individuals who conspired. You can't just use anybody you want and make up names and act like they wanted to do a crime. That ain't how this works. There has to be 2 acts of racketeering, 2 individuals in the racketeering ring who conspired to commit a crime. And you just can't make up shit as you go, government. They have to conspire to, what did he say, must be one of the acts. Right. So he said, but the government wants to point to KK. Everybody loves KK. Well, Jane didn't, but everybody else does. Everybody loves KK. He said, you should have a KK. Hell, we all need a KK. That's what he said. Mark said, we all need a KK. KK and D-Rock, guess what they did? They would help them out. He said, co-conspirators I know would kick the damn door in. But KK, not D-Rock, they would help everybody. They would help everybody. He said, would you call Sammy the Bull to help out John Gotti? Y'all, I'm done. You don't call Sammy the Bull to help out John Gotti. Oh, hold on. Y'all think, oh, Mark, hold on. Let me finish. Then they want to point to his security and say that the security was the core, one of the core of the racketeering. Come on. Of course, at his level, it's normal for billionaires to have security. The man has a family. He has a home. He has children to protect. You want him to walk around without security? Let's talk about what he's not charged with. He has not been charged with firearms. You know why? Because the Homeland Security, the best of the best, the SRT team, can't even tell you where they found the guns. He's not charged with Suge Knight. Oh, no, they ain't charging him with that. What happened with Suge Knight? He's not charged with Don Richard. He's not charged with Kay Morgan. And he's also not charged with the violence that the government has cited as a standalone assault. They want you to believe that these freak-offs were non-consensual. They really want you to believe that in the middle of sex, this man was pointing guns to keep everybody in the room. There are no weapons. The government is simply trying to plant seeds with telling you there doesn't have to be any weapons for people to feel trapped, for people to feel kidnapped, for people to feel afraid. He said, that's just planting seeds. And ask yourself, why would they go that far? Why would they go that far? To plant seeds in your imagination. Now, they're going to tell you that Mr. Combs instructed an escort to pee, to urinate on Miss Ventura. But when we asked Mr. Phillips, were there any other bodily fluids outside of semen, he said he didn't recall putting anything on her. When we asked Mr. Phillips, did Mr. Combs ask you to pee on Miss Ventura? He said, no. Cassie asked me to urinate on her. Baby. He said, listen, this is a serious case. The government has not, and they can't put a witness on the stand to testify. He went back to them damn guns, y'all. I think he pissed off behind them guns. He said they can't put a witness, the best of the best from the government. You don't have one agent that you can put on the stand to tell us where those guns were? You mean to tell an American jury you don't know what happened in that house? This can't be true. In America? He looks at the jury. He says, at what point do you stop trusting the government? At what point do you stop trusting them and start using your common sense when they can't even explain what they did? They can't even show you proof. They can't even answer questions about where were the guns. They can't even answer questions about DNA. At what point do you stop trusting them? Then he argued, and he got in trouble for this. He argued the government targeted Mr. Combs. And they did it after Cassie's lawsuit dropped. And the government did it simply because he's Sean Combs. This is unlike any other sex trafficking case. We've never seen anything like it. And he looked at the jury. He says, this is your house. This is your house, not their house. This is your house. And I need you to call it like you see it. I need you to acquit Mr. Combs of all counts in this indictment. Send him home. Send him home back to his family and his children where he belongs. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how Marc Agnifilo ended his day. What are your thoughts? That's how he wrapped up. Choppy at first. Would you agree? I told you I'm gonna give you the real. I'm not gonna come out of, oh, he did so. Nah, bro. You was hungover this morning. And I'm joking when I say he was hungover. You was in there talking like an old drunk white man. Yeah, John said he ate. He did a good job when he started talking about the law. That's what I was just saying. When now he cleaned it up. He can't. But this morning I was like, oh shit. Mark in there playing, acting a damn fool. Shell said, I'm sorry. Shell said, I'm sorry. This has got to be a blockbuster film, reality TV on a whole other level. Listen, when I tell you we clutched our damn pearls, just be so you should have given closing arguments. Yeah, he ate at the end. He did eat. And then Maureen came back with her. Maureen, the government came back with their rebuttal, but I don't want to talk about that today because I wanted to give y'all a clear line of sight of what happened in that courtroom from start to finish. Now, listen, I told y'all, I know how to be. I can come in and say he did great. A lot of people do that all the time to y'all. I just want to give you start to finish the whole show and show you where he, bro, come on now, you behind, you trailing. And then show you how he caught up and at what points he caught up when he started to highlight to the jury, this is what you need. This is what's important. Here's what they're trying to make you believe. That's bullshit. This is your house. You call the shots. They don't run nothing. It's your house. Similar to Under Armour. Protect this house. You're smart people, he was saying. She'll say, I'm rolling on the floor. Listen, thank y'all for the super chats. Let me go through really, really quick. I hope I did this justice for you. Give me 1 second.
All right, Palace. The Super Chat Squad is in the building. We appreciate you, baby. The Super Chats are fire. Get in your bag.
That's a lot of money.
Tush, I want to highlight this. You might be right. You said this was his only way out. You may be right. Yvette Khan, thank you for the 20-piece and the pepper. She says, thank you, Queen. Hip Hop Culture Judge, thank you for the $10 super chat. You says, great job. He used the audience in the courtroom for weeks, getting friendly, making jokes with them, which extends energy in the room to the jury. He knew by week 7, people like him, and especially during closing. Philly Bird Dog, thank you for the 2-piece super sticker. You said the what the hell he just said, Diddy the what the hell he just said, Diddy thumbnail is crazy. Listen, I was like, Mark, I think Brian still had to talk with Mark. Like, bro, come on now. You know how you have like a silly stepbrother where you have to give him, come on, you better than this. You can do better. I think they had to come back. I think they regroup. B Silva 9085. Thank you for the $5 super sticker. We appreciate you. And thank you, Philly. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Oh, I got it. Yeah, I got everybody. I think I did. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. It's Friday. Y'all go have a drink. Sean said the prosecution did the damn thing. They did good yesterday. They were clear, concise, and crisp. If you're there for the law, because you remember you got a mix of jurors, right? Some people like entertainment. It's a mix of them. It's a mix of jurors. So if you're looking for the law, if your ear is to the ground, to the street, and you be like, I need to know the law, they did the thing with explaining and highlighting the law. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I do feel like Mark's closing statement towards the end pushed Comey into a more balanced approach because even she made some jokes. And she switched up her delivery. It made her relax a little bit, right? Because she was throwing shade too, and it was funny. D. Valentine, thank you for the 5-piece super chat. She says Mark was performing for a pardon just in case he's found guilty. I got you. Oh, you think so? You think so? What y'all think? Could be. Confessions of a Dinner Girl says, girl, you have been gathering people with the let me onboard you. Make it into merch. I be trying to tell them, sit back and relax. Let me do it to you real slow. See, they used to certain pages where they go, where it's like, in your face. Not over here. We're going to warm you up a little bit. We're going to take real good care of you. You're my guest. I'm not going to force the food down your throat. I don't want you to regurgitate. I'm going to warm you up. I'm going to serve you real nice. I'm going to give you an appetizer. I'm going to come back. I'm going to check on you. And I'm not going to rush you to eat over here, baby. I like to take my time. I'm real Southern. Kiss me. Touch me. Let me get out of here before I get charged with a RICO. But listen, the Doctor of Love 3323, thank you for the $10 super chat. She says this is a mess, but thanks to the thirst as people wanting to take him down when they all together. It's a lot, girl. Girl, it's a lot going on. Yeah, I had to onboard people. Y'all need to chill when y'all come to a new page. Just get a feel for it. Get a feel for it. 22766. Thank you for the $5 super sticker. We appreciate you over here. Yeah, we talk dirty over here, but not in that fashion. But you know what I mean. Damn, let me onboard you, baby. Get to know me. Oh my goodness, y'all got me acting up. Okay, the DNC trying to take Diddy money. We ain't gonna let them do that. It's a lot going on. So anywho, the jury is going to receive the charges. They're going to receive instructions for the charges on Monday. First thing Monday morning. That's probably a lot. That's going to be a long process for them to receive the judge's instructions. What do y'all think? Do you think he's going to be let go? Like released, sent home? Do you think he's going to do time? I have a lot of questions. Do you think that Diddy's at a point in his life where he's been locked up long enough? Watch this. That even if let's just say they drop all charges and they acquit him and find him not guilty, do you think he's had enough time to sober up that he won't return to drugs? He won't return to freak-offs? Because freak-offs, let's talk about it, it's a drug. Okay, that's a good question. Teresa Wright, 828 with the $5 super chat says, what do you think the verdict is going to be? That's hard. Let me walk through some. Because of those, let me tell you why I say it's hard. You got 4 bald white men on the jury that could swing this thing either way. And I truly believe that the government strategically picked them to create this visual and this illusion of power and dominance and rightness and whiteness. Do you get what I'm saying? Rightness and whiteness. It's going to be and they all have poker faces, with the exception of one, which I nicknamed the lead juror. They all have poker faces. It was hard for me to pinpoint what was in their head. Everybody else, I'm like, no. I could kind of boop, 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 boop. Prior to juror number 6 being released, I counted 4 votes. You see how I strategically waited until today to say that? I counted 4 strong votes. I said 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't want to say nothing earlier. I said, because you know what? Everybody's there to win. And if you don't think there's a little bit of everybody pulling out their best guns, their biggest gun, and even if it means I got to be racist or biased, yes, don't you ever get in your head that people are going to play fair when it comes to trials like this. Sensation. Oh, everybody's just going to do the right thing. You must be crazy. What did they say? That the Beverly Hills hotel personnel testified? It's just the way the world works. If I see a problem, I need to make it go away. And if juror number 6 is a problem for me, I don't give a damn. I'm going to take off. If I have to take off or pick off a black juror, I'm going to pick him off if it's a problem for me. So if you sitting at home and you have on your rose-colored glasses, singing Kumbaya because you got your prayer beads in your hand and you think everybody operate like you're crazy. You're crazy. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. When I say you're crazy, think again. Hell yeah. You better believe. Yeah, if I feel like juror number 6 is leaning too much to that side and he's connecting with Diddy as a black man, nah, I can't risk it. It's just the way the world works. The Beverly Hills employees told you that. We don't want a scandal. Everybody wanted to win. Everybody wants to win. The government wants to win. The defense wants to win. People put people in seats hoping they're going to help them win. I think it's going to be a hung jury. That's my prediction. I think it's going to be a hung jury. I don't know though. That don't mean I'm right. It's crazy. I'm clutching my pearls at this point. I'm clutching my pearls because I'm near. If I would have been at home, I would have said something different. That's why I be trying to tell y'all it's different being in that courtroom than it is at home and reading that black and white. I'm not saying nobody's wrong, but it's different. There's things that are not being said, that are being said through body language, looks, shifting, this, that, small red flags, innuendos. Jazzy Sunflower, thank you. She says, let me go. You said, I love your commentary. I agree with you. It's going to be a hard call, but possibly a hung jury. Because there's some people in that jury, it don't matter what's said. It don't matter what the law is. They've had their minds made up since day one. That is human nature. It's what? What the Beverly Hills Hotel says? It's just the way the world works. Which is why we have to implement laws, regulations, because human beings can be very tricky. You have to implement rules and regulations and policies and procedures just to make people be fair and behave. Hell, we could talk about DEI. Yeah, they just deconstructed it, but it was in place for a reason because it's just the way the world works. People have their own ideology against particular groups of people, whether you're male, female, white, black, gay, straight, people have their own innate biases. And unfortunately, you probably have a few in the jury that have already made up their mind whether he's guilty or not guilty. They don't give a damn what the defense is talking about. They don't give a damn what the prosecution is talking about. So you have to factor them in. Then you have to factor in the ones that are going to try to be fair and push past the biases and say, let me just focus on the law because I don't want to focus on my emotions. And then you got some that's going to get down for the culture. You see what I'm saying? SFRB71, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you. It's a lot. And you have to factor that in. You got to be able to toggle between different switches and say, damn, you sure right. I ain't think about that. Hell, I wouldn't be shocked if they get into arguments and fights up in there. And I don't mean fist fights, but just standoffs. I wouldn't be shocked. I think they have some very powerful personalities in that jury, even though we haven't heard them speak a word. You can feel it. And some people, I do believe, are going to walk in that mofo. Can I say, it's some people that's going to walk in that motherfucker and they're not going to let particular people push them around. Shit. Don't play with me. You're going to have some of that. You're going to have some that are used to pushing people around that's going to come in and try to take charge. Baby, I'm telling you, I done counted the personalities. I'm looking, I'm watching. I say, oh, it's going down in that jury deliberation room. Okay, Nikki, I hope I'm saying, she said, Mim said the same thing, that it may be a hung jury. Listen, and I'm basing mine off of just the jury. I ain't even basing it off of closing arguments, the evidence. I'm basing it off what I perceive to be the different personalities that slipped through on that jury. Now, I'm going to tell you, I ain't going to say nothing else. I don't want to mess nothing up. Teresa Wright, 828 says, please go straight to law school. I think you have accidentally found your calling. You will be a great attorney. Gina says, you're right. You got to be in a room. Biases are real. Y'all, all of us are biased. Listen, one bias that I can call out, I'm going to say it. And every time I talk about this trial, I'll probably say it in my head. There's an aesthetic bias that people have taken with this trial as it relates to, quote unquote, the victims. Perfect victims. Just because of the way they look, you believe them. I'm not saying I do or I don't. Just because of the way they look. Like Mark told you. He said, have you noticed nobody questioned Cassie's testimony? Nobody in this room. And when he said that, he was talking about both the defense and the government. Nobody really pushed too hard on Jane. Innate biases, aesthetic biases. Thank you. The Doctor of Love 3323. She says everybody had a price. Indu. I feel like the women are going to be calling the cap. Oh, they talked about that. He forced her, but see, here's the thing. He forced her back into the freak off. They can say, she went back into the room. Because at that point, the security team was there. If you watch the whole video. And she remained in the room. I can't remember if it was 12 minutes, 18 or 20 minutes. And then she came back out. And you could see the hotel, Israel Flores, trying to shoo them. And that's Mark. I didn't talk about it, but Mark, that's a part he called out today in his closing argument. He said, look at them. He's shooing them back into the room. He said, do you think that if the director of security would have seen a black eye, that he would have made her go back in the room? There's no danger in there. There was no danger in there. There was no harm in there for her because the security guys motioning for both of them to go back in. You can't tell me that if the head of security would have seen a black eye, that he would have asked the woman to go back. I'm just telling y'all, I didn't say it at first. So, Rodney said, what if they threaten the jury? Well, I think that would get out. And I just want to keep reminding y'all, content creators have the liberty and the right to say what they want to say. There's no rules and regulations. We can say whatever. That's what I can come on here and say, oh, they did a great job and leave it at that. Tell you exactly what you want to hear, but that ain't how I get down. I'm gonna tell you everything. Child, they was in there struggling the first half, but they did good the second half. But at first, Mark, you did the damn fool. You was in there acting a fool. Confession said Mark was so wrong for his comments today. He went low, but somebody said earlier, there's no empathy, something in a fight. I can't remember the comment. I don't know, y'all. Kia M, thank you for the $10 super chat. She says, listen, Mark was entertaining, but he failed miserably. He did not prove that the crimes were not committed. He was trying to say it's okay because they were consensual. You cannot consent to crime. Diddy done. And that's the part that Maureen Comey came back and rebutted. But remember, I said, I don't want to leave y'all with that. She did her thing on that. I don't want to leave y'all with that. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Betty Boop says, so the woman doesn't show a black eye at first, doesn't mean it did happen. Right. But that's true. Yep, that's true. It's a lot. I'm just glad I'm not a juror. It's going to be a lot of pressure. Hold on. What are y'all talking about? Y'all be nice to each other in the chat. That want to go. Oh. Well, I mean, you know, everybody have their own opinion. But that's all I got on a Friday night. Listen, I'm going to rest this weekend. I'm going to enjoy myself. I think I'm going to have a steak dinner. Y'all do something nice for y'allself. Thank you for pulling up and showing the love and support. User says, I couldn't be a juror. I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want that. Now I see why black folks don't show up. We ain't got time for that. Get somebody else to do it. Get somebody else to do it. All that. People looking at you, trying to guess what you thinking. You're welcome, everybody. All right. Take care, everybody. Good night. Queen got to go eat. All right. Good night, everybody.
The guy said that last time they went to the Ultimate Club, Carmen was sitting on his lap. When he told me that, I said, oh, hell, I paid double for that.
But at the end of the day, he never got no pictures. He never had, he was telling you a story, Mama.
Well, it could have been a scheme that Todd set up for him to come to you with the bush.